About being the big head?
That you don't like being the bigger head.
Do you like being the bigger head? Would you like me to move this?
No, I like being a bigger head. I like it. It's good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Usually I'm just doing these like Zoom, so I'm the only head.
Right.
They're tiny heads.
Yeah.
I'm a huge head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I look at my own face.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I should get like this.
Does everybody do that?
This way you can kind of look at me and we can look at each other.
When you're doing a Zoom, do you look at your own face?
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
I think the human animal likes seeing ourselves on video.
Yep.
And as performers, we see ourselves on video a lot, but I still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, me too.
When I do my streams, I have I have two like monitors on various places on my computer, my teleprompter going, and I'm often going, but also you're checking to make sure you look decent. You know, you're not being super egotistical. I mean, just the right amount, right?
Just the right amount.
Because it takes a certain amount of ego to get up there and do what you do.
Yeah.
Which is now filthy
Irish stories. Yep.
Explain, please. I have yet to come. Now, let me guess. I'm not going to touch you. By the way, guys, I am wearing a mask because I am getting over being sick, and I am sitting here with the lovely, the talented Christopher Buehlman. Or do you prefer Chris?
Either one's fine.
All right. So, Steve.
Oh, fuck.
Okay. Filthy Irish Stories is your current thing. We'll go back in history in a little bit. Obviously, it seems to explain itself pretty well. Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to know?
Well, it's taken me decades to figure this out, but a title is everything.
Okay.
So if you have a good enough show title, it hawks for you. Like back in the day, I used to call it Filthy Irish Story. I used to call it like Churchyard O'Shea. You know the character's name. Nobody else would have got that.
Say the character again.
Churchyard O'Shea.
Churchyard O'Shea.
Yeah.
And I've met you in the character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing like the real you.
Oh, I don't know.
It's you with a goddamn accent.
I know, but it's a good accent.
It's a very good.
Do you know, I do my own narration on the audiobook for my novel, The Black Tongue Thief.
Okay.
And periodically, somebody will say, well, this guy's from Florida, and I didn't appreciate his thick, fake Irish accent. But it's always paired with the fact that I'm from Florida. It's never somebody going, well, that was clearly a fake accent.
Right.
It's always just...
What's Florida got to do with it?
The fact that they read that I'm from Florida, and now they're pissed they had to listen to a brogue.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought you were saying because it's Florida, like if you lived in Missouri or New York or California, they wouldn't have brought that up.
It's just that I'm American and they just want to be shitty. That's all.
But you do a great Irish accent.
Thank you. I actually had a moment of I was flush yesterday because I heard this voice out there go, so where are you from? And I was like, oh, do I lie? I have to do this. I said, Connemara. We're from Dublin. And just had a whole conversation with these girls.
Oh,
and it
wow.
was lovely, and I felt like shit afterwards, but also kind of good.
But you maintain?
Yes.
See, I don't know, what do you do about that? I came up in the Ren Fair world, and we were told, stay in character. And you're from here, and here was always the fair.
Yep.
So at the Maryland Renaissance Fair, the village to this day is still called Revel Grove. So people say, where are you from? You say, I'm from Revel Grove.
Right.
You know, where do you live? I live, as the voice I used to do when I was in my character. And you didn't know how much longer to bullshit it.
Right.
When you're a street character. Which you started as, sort of, at the Bay Area Renaissance Fair.
Yes.
Barf to those of us that know and love it.
Oh, yes.
Good fair. I don't know, it's an unfortunate...
It was.
Okay, we can get political if you'd like.
It's not politics, it's facts.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I understand a lot of my material is still there. Let's just put it that way. And probably a lot of yours.
Probably so.
You had those stocks down the street from my stage.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we were both very young gentlemen.
We were young gentlemen. We're about the same age.
Yep.
And I was a solo stage act. You were a local guy. Ooh, geez, the trees don't like us. And you had this stocks, and you tell it. Nobody was using it for anything?
Well, no. My buddy Bo Blaine and I had submitted a stage show idea. We were like 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. And of course it just sucked. And the director was like, well, we can't use that show, but I'll tell you what we can use. We can to run the stocks.
Okay.
And the deal, you put them in the stocks for like $1.
Okay.
And you hang a sign on them that says Rogue, and they take pictures.
Right.
And you keep the $1, you know, so you make $30, $40 each a day, you know?
Most fairs would have a stock situation like that, but didn't always have a performer doing anything with it.
Right.
It's just a fun photo op.
Right. And
so what did you guys do? I mean, I know, but I want you to
right?
act like we don't know.
it amused me to verbally abuse them while they were in there. Do you know why you're in here? I'll tell you why you're in here. It's because you smell, and didn't develop the theme.
Sure.
And I was in college, so I'd be sitting and during classes, if I was bored, I'd be writing material on the
Really?
margins. Yeah. So that's how it started, and pretty soon I had a lot of material. And
you got a big crowd.
By the time the next year came around, and the next year, pretty soon it was just me, and I would have an assistant. Because I didn't know not everybody could write the material that fast, and so I had a lot, and pretty soon it was like, ooh, if you give him $5, he'll really go off on you,
Okay.
and it began to escalate.
Right.
And that continued for decades until it was fabulously expensive towards the end.
Wow.
It was a good living. Every time I thought about giving it up, I just would look at it and go like, I can't make this kind of money doing anything else right now. So there's no many of us.
And it was down the street from the stage I was on, and I remember, and I love you, and I have no animosity toward you, but I got a little irked when I realized people weren't coming up this road where the Witchwood stage was. I had to talk to the then director, Scott Halls. Chris needs to time it, so let me get my, and of course also the Lloyd and Rosie. Same deal. We were like, hey man, our flow is stopped because of this brilliant guy down the street being unbelievably entertaining, which was how we issued our complaint, by the way.
Yeah, no, I understand the same thing. I'll be doing filthy Irish stories. This is ironic. What are Lloyd and Rosie's? What's the kid's name? Brilliant kid who's gone into the business too.
Oh, I don't know.
Man,
Their
it slipped
son.
my mind. He's great.
He's great.
And I worked with him at Sterling this year. I'm so glad you said that, because this is a full circle alpha and omega moment. Because that little motherfucker was blocking the path to my show with his brilliant physical tricks. I was like, just let me get some people over here. God damn. Revenge for the parents.
And it's in a way, and it's better also because he's younger than our generation.
Yes.
You and I are kind of the same age.
Yes.
So it did come full circle. That's funny.
Hilarious.
So that's how it started with the insult thing.
Right.
And then I started seeing you on the road walking around. I was like, oh, there's that guy from, and I think I knew you on a first name basis. There's Chris from Largo. And you would just walk about with, it would say
Insults.
Insult. Didn't say mercenary? But you kind of refused that word.
I did. I called myself a verbal mercenary. The sign I had for the longest time said insults on one side, and the other side said, you cheap bastard. Because inevitably people go, I do them for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did it take a while? And this is a street bit. You're not on stage at this point. Did people go? I mean, now it makes sense. Okay, insults, and in this vibe that people expect something kind of like that, but they didn't. We're talking late '90s.
We're talking
when you're walking around, when you're on the road. Now.
Yeah. Well, by the time we're talking mid '90s.
Mid-'90s.
I first went to Ohio in 1994.
Cincinnati,
start of it.
not Great Lakes. Okay.
Correct. Southern Ohio. So that was.
And what was it? Was there a system shock there? You're there. You're not. You don't have your prop anymore, right? Because that stocks, like it or not, was a nice touchstone for the character.
Dude.
And now what do you do?
Well, it was
it scary?
The stocks. Yeah, the stocks in Largo were this beautiful, shady little grove, you know, and a crowd could come sit, and it was all very earthy and organic, and then this vile stuff was being said, and it was really fun. There's nothing like it. But so I got hired as a stocksman, insulting stocksmen in Ohio.
Okay, ignore it.
And
so there were stocks there.
There were stocks there, but
gotcha.
they were out in the middle of the sun, and they were terribly uncomfortable. So I was like, this is not going to work. Nobody's going to put their friends in here and hang out for half an hour, you know? Right. So I just asked the directors if I could just make a sign that said insults and walk around and do it.
Oh, so it was a kismet thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just kind of happened.
And did the first year, how long would it take you to kind of interact with somebody for them to go, oh, I get it? Because it's not a sign that just says insults, and that's all it says. If my sign says juggling tricks, I'm going to do a juggling. Right. They get that. What does insults mean? And how did you manage that?
Well, the usual error was people would think that I'm asking them to solicit their own insult. Like, I will insult you for money, but usually the transaction was insult your friend.
Right.
And once I explained
Hence
that...
the mercenary concept.
Yeah, it made more sense to people.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, I'll insult my friend.
Right.
You know?
And that's more titillation.
Yes.
Yeah, some people like to be insulted, and I think as a comedic way, which of course it was.
Yeah.
Your writing was brilliant.
Thanks.
Yeah. I really enjoyed seeing it evolve.
Whichever way you want to look at it. You both work.
And then you became, did that for a couple of years, and then boom, you're on stage.
And you had something to do with that. Because
Don't you fucking blame me.
Oh, no,
dare
this
you.
is on you. You're carrying this one.
All right.
Yeah, no, you would see me in the lanes, you'd hear me, and you'd go, man, you got a lot of material, and you should take this to the stage. And at the time, I'd never really done that, so I was a little nervous about doing that. And one thing that I enjoyed about being in the lanes was every fair wants a lane performer. Because stages...
Not a lot of them.
There are not a lot of them. Not a lot of them can command an audience.
Yeah.
But stages are prime territory.
Sure.
People compete for those.
Absolutely.
So, no, I was happy being able to just pick my own schedule, do what I want.
So I put that idea in your head, and then you just threw it out there, and somebody said yes.
Well, no, what happened was there was some blank stage time at the Scarborough Fair.
Okay.
So I just tried it. I just got up there and had a little show there, and it really worked.
Yeah. Worked really well.
It was kind of like when you're a hunter-gatherer and you're looking for goats. I'm looking for dirty people. We'll call them goats.
Okay, sure.
So I'm going...
Not the greatest of all time. Just
No.
goats.
This is
the actual
pre-that.
animal.
The actual animal.
Okay, goats.
Yeah. And, it can be tough to find people who are going to like that kind of material, and
Right.
they don't have kids with them, or they're whatever. So it's, and I loved when I would get what I called a bully ring, which is just a ring of people, and then as soon as I finish insulting one guy for $5 or $10, here comes another one, and I just do 7, 8, 9 of these in a row. Loved it, but it was rare. And again, you're risking blocking a bridge, you're risking, whatever. With getting a big crowd like that. So when I discovered stages, it was like, I will not go hunting the goats. I will summon the goats to me. They will come. The dirty people will like this shit.
dirty
We'll
people
know
will
where to
come.
find it now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You're a beacon in the darkness
I was
for the dirty
a beacon
people.
in the darkness.
And you got a reputation very quick. Your show got very popular, in my opinion, from my observations of this business. Very popular, very fast. It was easy to explain after a while. At first, like I said, it might have been weird walking around, but then it was like, yeah, this is a guy who will insult, because they would always throw that, insult your friends, and for a certain amount of money. And not that we don't need to talk money here, but it seemed to be very lucrative. There was a definite desire. The product you were selling
Was evergreen.
yes.
Yes.
There was no end to that.
And prior to that show, I thought the cleverest device for harvesting money I'd ever seen was Dead Bob.
Sure.
Because this guy, our friend Clark, who passed a couple of years ago, one of the most brilliant guys in the circuit, loved him. Clark would get 3 Bob zombies, and he'd sort of deputize them to go collect money,
Right.
and they have a little contest among themselves.
And one of
who
them
got
would
the
win.
most. Yeah, right. So
That's pretty good.
it was fucking brilliant.
Oh, well, you can also throw that. Well, love Clark and everything, but Sturdy Beggar's doing that with the contest.
They did that too?
Yeah, they're the ones that bribe the judge.
Oh,
who can bring me back the heaviest bag of money, and then of course the judge says tie, and then they are what? And then that's a big.
I wish you meant what I said. Fuck Clark, he stole that.
No, he didn't steal it. He didn't steal it. He didn't steal it. I mean, I think Rush and Clark, those guys were buddies.
Of course. I'm just playing.
I know. Yeah. So then, just to keep you up on your history, you also are. We can talk about it or not.
Yeah.
You are a very successful novelist.
As of fairly recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got published in 2011.
We're talking real books here. This is not self-publishing. This guy's got a publisher and agents and things.
Well,
Mostly horror.
the first 5 books were horror. My first novel, Those Across the River, came out in 2011. I saw my book in airports. I saw my book at Target, and I thought, oh, Jesus, I've made it.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not how it works at all.
It isn't?
No.
Why not?
Because your book's on a shelf, but it doesn't just stay there.
Yeah?
Then more books come, push it off. And pretty soon you're walking into that Barnes & Noble looking for your book to say, I'm going to sign my book for you. I'm going to sign my book at Barnes & Noble.
So it's
gone.
it's that same Hollywood perception that actors know.
Yeah,
They get to Hollywood, they get a couple gigs on sitcoms, and they realize, it's TV money's okay, but you're not a big superstar yet. You're not a millionaire yet.
No, far from it.
Yeah.
I remember I asked my editor when I was about to get published, I was like, should I quit doing fairs? He went, no! he could tell I had serious misconceptions.
Now
about
you
my
are still
financial
here, though.
situation.
And we thought that. We in this business,
Yep.
I recall, and I think I've sidled up to you probably here, as I think it's only fair that we do anymore, maybe Bristol, and I said, why are you here? Why are you here? Are you not a successful novelist?
Yeah, and I still had to be. It was not quite pay your bills money. If you want to get depressed,
I don't, but...
Good, yeah, no, don't. Maybe don't do this.
I'm dealing with a cold here, dude.
Maybe don't look at how Man Booker Prize winners are doing. The English, that very esteemed English literary prize, they went and they looked and they found that 9 out of 10 of them are working other jobs still.
Wow.
So you could be at the absolute literary top of your game and you're just not making that much money.
Wow, you gotta be Dan Brown.
You gotta be Dan Brown, or there's another way there, and I'm starting to explore it myself.
Yeah.
If you, okay, so the second book, Those Across the River did well, did fairly well. It was a base hit, right? Then Between Two Fires came out, and this was, my editor was like, what do you want to write next? And I was like, well, I love doing period stuff. I think I'd like to go to the Middle Ages, and I like plague. You know, I loved Stephen King's The Stand, but instead of writing a book about what happened if the plague happened now, how about what would happen if the plague happened when the plague happened? So I wrote this horrific historical fiction. But, Tom warned me. He was like, I don't, this might be a tough sell, Yeah. Oh, this is not my agent. This is my editor.
Oh, editor.
Editor at Penguin, yeah. He was like, this might be a tough sell. I don't know if it's enough of a hook really for people today. They don't always like history, and, right? Well, he knew that book did not sell well. And when you stumble on your sophomore effort in that industry these days, you don't really, it's hard to climb back out of that hole because when a bookstore is buying your books, they're looking at how your last book did.
Right.
So never mind that Those Across the River did pretty good. They're looking at, ooh, this one didn't sell.
Right.
And so the third book, Necromancer's House, didn't get on many shelves, so it didn't have a chance to sell.
Wow.
So it's a downward spiral.
Okay.
Penguin was going to stick with me. They wrote me a letter saying, hey, we're not able to offer you the advances we once were, but we know we love your content. We know you're going to break out. So we're going to be with you. We're going to stick with you, buddy. The next year, they were acquired by Random House.
Oh, dear.
And I got a different letter.
Oh,
I didn't really get a letter. It's just they didn't buy any more books.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, but it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah, because what?
Because my agent said to me, Michelle Brower, she said, well, what other kind of books do you like to write or read? I was like, fantasy. She said, do you want to write a fantasy novel? And I said, yes, I want to write a fantasy novel. And that was the beginning of The Black Tongue Thief and my transition to Tor. And Tor, man, they are really, nothing against Penguin Random House, it's like they're a great institution, but Tor was a good fit for me. They're fantasy nerds and they love that shit, and I'm having a great time with them.
That's excellent.
But I want to circle back to Between Two Fires.
Yes.
This is because now I am in a position where I really don't have to be at fairs. But the reason for that isn't just because of the tour contract. It's because I got what's called rights of reversion to Between Two Fires. If you got a good agent, your contract with your publisher will say, if it doesn't sell enough, you have to give him his rights back.
Okay.
So I got my rights back to Between Two Fires because I just wanted to sell it at fairs.
Right.
I talk about the Black Death, it's plague, it's Middle Ages, it's a nice fit for Ren fairs.
Oh, so you have it here.
Yes and no. I just sold out. But I got more coming. But that was the plan.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, COVID hit.
Ah.
And also Tor was beginning to beat the bushes about Black Tongue Thief, and people they like to do that well in advance, and people were like, who's this Buehlman guy? What else did he write? And they started picking up Between Two Fires. Only now, because I'd self-published it through Kindle Direct Publishing on Amazon, I'm not making 80 cents a book, I'm making like $5 a book. So it's that book that's paying the bills now.
Wow.
It's a come from behind story.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you just alluded to not, and we shouldn't do this too much because this comes out, especially with guys our age. We get a little grumpy, not grumpy, we just got to be here. I love this industry. It's a wonderful artistic opening place. You can do and say, for the most part, whatever you want. And you've certainly proved that.
Oh, yes.
So let's not put it down. But just real quick, because we do have to wrap up here in a second. You stopped. That's great with the writing. I'm going to change course, though, 90 degrees here. Go back to your stage act because you stopped doing the insults for a while.
Yes.
We're missing, not missing, You weren't on the road for one. Then you came back with. Was there a reason why you stopped doing the insult show and are now doing the Filthy Irish stories?
Yes. There is a Japanese expression, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like I should learn it 'cause it's one of the most elegant
Is it? I'd like to
phrases.
order off menu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's when if you're in the perfect career, if it's something that you do well and you can make money at, but it's also something which is needed.
Okay.
And I think what I came to, and it was kind of a quick revelation. I was actually on my way to a fair, and I just had this road to Damascus moment, and I said, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I was at the fair where you were on the way to.
Yeah.
It went through us like it was interesting.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Chris did? Ooh.
No, he quit.
Essentially.
Yep.
What was the reason?
Our society has gotten really dark.
You have 40 seconds.
Our society got really dark. It got really divided. And I had actually witnessed a brawl at one of my shows here in 2017. And we're just too polarized. Like, when I was doing this shit in the 90s and early aughts, people pretty much got along. And so here I had this, like, comedic, naughty darkness. And it was fun. It was a nice contrast.
Yeah.
But as our society has gotten darker, it just felt like more darkness. I don't want to be too vibey or whatever meta on this thing, but it just didn't feel right anymore. And I also, the nature of the show, it has a long explanation. I don't want people filming the material and posting it, because out of context it could be taken horribly.
Yes.
So
You're always very good about that.
I had to be. So I was constantly wrestling with people to put their phones away. People at fairs are probably getting drunker than I remember. The second ticket events like pub crawls are getting real popular. So you're dealing with adult babysitting. You are. And that's fine when I'm just telling Irish stories, and if they want to talk over it, then I'm not.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I've been holding this back. Okay.
Oh, man.
You're not going to get sick. I have a mask.
That's
Don't
okay.
touch me.
That's okay. I'm not going to touch you.
So,
Do you need mouth to mouth?
I will.
Okay.
I will. Later, as usual. But finish your thought. So
anyway.
you had an epiphany.
I had an epiphany. The insulting wasn't
You're like Jerry Maguire.
America
writing
now
that
anymore.
blue thing and distribute it to everybody, saying we could be different and better.
Yeah.
I can relate. I'm not necessarily a negative guy on stage, but I certainly can be, and I can get impatient with rude people in the audience. But lately, I've been doing this charm offensive.
Yep.
I'm so much happier with it. I still go, hey, could you please turn around? Thank you, sir. You know I like it. Thank you. Please turn around, face this way. The usual stuff.
Yeah.
As a performer, you feel very vulnerable, and people don't understand. Just sitting backwards may seem like nothing to you, not you. My fans are cool people.
With
but
your meal.
With your meal, how dare you? But when somebody's devoted their life and a lot of their talents to something, just looking at your back when they walk out, it's insulting, and it robs that artist of a little bit, that vulnerability that they want to have, they can't have. They put that weird armor.
Right, and also it sends the wrong message to people walking by.
Yeah.
People walking by go, what's going on here? Oh, clearly nothing. There are people with a cheeseburger.
Yeah. It is a domino. And I even explained that nicely now. It's not you. It's just if you do it, somebody else does. Someone else does.
Right.
All right. So, but you're back on the road now. You decided not to go negative. Not negative is the wrong word. Sorry.
Right.
Not to go with the insult.
Right.
Right.
I decided to do a less complex, lower stakes show.
Okay.
That is still funny. And has a shorter runtime,
And you're still a writer, and you're still a very good writer.
Thanks. Yeah.
And if you ever needed to, you could sit here right now, and if I asked you, without repeating yourself, how long could you insult me? I'm not asking you to. How much material of insults do you have at the ready? Or is it still at the ready, I guess I should
It's
say.
not really still at the ready.
Oh.
But there was a time when I probably could have, without repeating myself, about 2 hours. I've run 90-minute shows on one dude before. It's like he gets his own HBO special,
Wow.
But yeah.
That's crazy. Right now, Chris, I'm doing this with my hand. This lets me know in editing that right at the bottom of the screen, a bunch of your bona fides are showing up. If you want to tell people where to find you on the inner tubes and everything, tell them right now. Doesn't have to be. We can move on.
Yeah.
Tell about your latest book. Where can they go
to
buy your Kindle book?
If you enjoy fantasy, you can get The Black Tongue Thief right now. Or if you really want to do a brother a solid, order The Daughter's War. Pre-order it. because it's coming out on June 25th, and pre-orders really do help an author because that first week of sales is super important. So, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a scary, goblin-infested, dark, lovely.
The link is right
thing.
there right
It's
now.
great.
See it? There it is.
There.
And what about, do you have a place people can go to find out where you're going to be as the Filthy Irish Stories? Or do we give it in?
Just Facebook.
Okay.
Just whatever.
I'll look it up and I'll put it up.
Yeah. I still use the Christophe The Insultor Facebook page because it's got a lot of followers.
Okay.
I don't really use the Filthy Irish Stories page.
Okay.
But I'm also a Luddite, and I'm really behind on tech stuff. So there you go.
Where can people see you the rest of the season if they want to hear some Filthy Irish Stories?
Florida Renaissance Festival, the Great Hall Tent. I'm sharing the stage with my buddy Gordy, doing Arthur Greenleaf Holmes. And
According to this morning's meeting, there was a note where one of you apparently is the responsible one about that electrical issue, whatever that was.
Oh,
and Richard
not
said
me.
one of the more responsible members of this tent. And a bunch of us giggled on the other side. Yeah, it's Chris and Gordy.
Oh, no.
There's no responsible.
Nothing's happening.
Sorry to interrupt. But for the rest of the season?
Yes, God willing.
No, for the rest of the Ren Fair season. You gonna be anywhere else?
I don't think so. There's
Okay.
I would normally do Sterling, and I did a show called Fat Shakespeare there last year.
I saw pictures.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
That suit. But this year I'm doing a book tour.
Okay.
So I'm going to Glasgow. I'm going to go to WorldCon in Glasgow in August. I'm excited.
Break out your Irish accent.
No.
Guys, again, so great to sit here. One of our longest interviews yet. This may be a two-parter if you're at the end of it right now. We'll see. This is my friend Christopher Buehlman. Check out his writing work. And if you're at the Florida area for the next 2-3 weeks, he'll be in the Great Hall Tent doing Filthy Irish Stories. Look for his novels aforementioned. There's links right here in the description of the video. Chris, do you want to look right down that lens and say goodbye?
Goodbye. Thank you. Thanks for supporting Brian, too. He's a great guy.